Hey guys, how is everybody doing? This is Rob of Rule of Two Review. Welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to discuss some of the ongoing controversies surrounding Super Mario 3D All-Stars. Super quickly before I get into the topic, I do want to remind you guys that I'm currently pushing to cross 15,000 subscribers before the end of 2020. And I am definitely very close. I am growing with every video. I am less than 800 subscribers away. So while you watch this video, if you like what I'm doing, then maybe consider subscribing to the channel to help me cross that milestone before the year is over. So, Mario 3D All-Stars. This is the game that keeps on giving when it comes to controversy and when it comes to making people upset. This is a game in such a weird situation because it was rumored and discussed and hyped for so long throughout the year. We have to remember, most of the year after this rumor came out, pretty much everybody was actually excited for it. But now that it's actually here and we understand what this game is and it's coming out in literal days from now, it just seems like every day there's a new reason for people to be upset about this game. And you've heard me discuss it several times. I've made a couple of videos on this topic. I've discussed it in some live streams. There's a lot of kind of ebb and flow to what's going on here. I'm not going to say that it's 100% perfect, and I'm not going to say that it's 100% bad. I understand the arguments on both sides, but I certainly find it fascinating that this game continues to drive people crazy. So there are several controversies surrounding this game, like I said here in the beginning of this video. I think the first two initial ones were some of the controversies that I've already discussed that really happened right as this game was first announced in that Mario Nintendo Direct. It's the fact that the game is $60 for 3 old games. It's the fact that the games are only given to us in HD. They're not fully remade or fully remastered. Thus, people feel that the $60 price is not justified. There's the very big controversy that I definitely understand about the limited availability for this game. The fact that this game is only going to be available for sale, as far as we know, physically and digitally, for 6 months from September to March next year. That's a huge one as well, and it's probably the controversy of all of the ones that exist that I understand the most and that I share the most frustration with. I don't want to say anger because it's not, keeping me up at night. I'm not losing my mind over the 6-month thing, but I do think it's stupid. I think it's a boneheaded decision, and I don't understand it, especially when it comes to the digital copy. So that's the one where I definitely have a little bit of give as far as understanding people's frustration. And since the game was first revealed, we've even seen some other kind of smaller tier controversies start to rumble up. A lot of people kind of digging into the nitty-gritty as far as what this game is going to offer, breaking down things like which controllers are going to be available, is there no Pro controller for Mario Galaxy, the lack of complete or updated voice acting for some of the games. It's very tricky. And now today we're dealing with the newest controversy where there was a data miner who actually got into some of the code of an early copy of the game that he or she got, and apparently is able to confirm that these games, all 3 of them, Mario 64, Mario Sunshine, and Mario Galaxy, are actually running on emulation and they're not direct ports of the games to the Switch cartridge. Now, for those of you who have been around for a while and following me and my channel for a long time, you probably already know and understand how completely not smart I am when it comes to this kind of stuff. I'm not a technically savvy dude. I don't understand the technical components and the specs of consoles and hardware, and a lot of the mumbo jumbo when it comes to even stuff like this, emulation port, yada yada. It's just not my bag, it's not my area of expertise, and I never pretend to understand it better than I do. I'm always very comfortable being forefront with you guys that, hey, when it comes to the tech side of gaming, I'm kind of an idiot. I don't understand it. And so I'm not going to lie to you and try to potentially give you false information because I'm a non-expert trying to pretend like I am an expert. But I do think I can follow this well enough to understand a little bit of what's going on. The fact that these games apparently are being emulated and not straight ports. And I think it's that with emulation, you get a potentially less sincere or natural copy of the game that you're playing. There's a different kind of third-party, program or process that might actually be running the game, as opposed to just the game itself running in its most natural state, just moved to a different piece of hardware. And so with that, of course, can come a lot of weird, janky things or mistakes, or it could kind of have, some of the purest sense of the game be lost in translation, because it's going through almost like a filter per se. And that may be wrong, and maybe you understand this, so much better than me that you can tell me how wrong that is. But I feel pretty good that that's at least close to accurate. The emulation is like a third-party filter that the games travel through from their original release to make it to this new version that you're being played. Now, regardless if my breakdown is completely accurate or totally off base, it actually almost doesn't even matter because most people know the difference, they understand it better than me, and that's where we're seeing people's reactions to this news. The fact that people say, hey, this is lazy. This proves even more than we already believed that this port is lazy, and Nintendo is putting in bare bones effort, and this is just a bad quality release, these 3 Mario games. That's what a lot of people are seeing. They're not happy with the fact that they're emulated. They would prefer the straight ports. And I mean, yeah, sure, even for me, it's like I don't really understand or care about the difference here, but sure, if I'm going to be given the choice, I would choose the straight port over the emulation just because it naturally seems like the better version. But I'm at the point where I just can't really have a problem with this, you guys. These games are old enough that they're still going to play probably perfectly on this 3D All-Stars collection that Nintendo is releasing. I can't see a situation where Nintendo, with all of their money and all of their dedication, even if they're cutting corners in some other areas, I feel like when it comes to actually how the game is playable and how it feels and runs on the Switch, I'm pretty sure that whether they went for straight port or this emulation version, that it's going to be very, very high quality. If you have other issues like you can't use a certain controller, a GameCube controller or Pro controller, or you don't like how the voice acting is turning out, I mean, that's a different ball of wax, and it's up to you to feel how you want to feel. I'm not trying to tell you or anyone how to feel here, but in just sharing my own opinion about it, I just am not concerned about the fact that they're probably emulated versions of these games, because something tells me when I turn these games on for the first time this Friday, I'm going to be like, wow, this feels just like Mario 64, only in HD, and it feels just like Sunshine, only in HD, and obviously, how we're going to use the triggers is going to feel a little bit different for Flood, but outside of that, it's probably going to feel and run and perform just like the regular games, maybe even slightly better because they're newer and in HD. I actually very much predict that these games are going to feel even better than their original versions. Maybe not Galaxy, because that game is fresher and more recent and is just perfect in every single way, but as far as 64 and Sunshine, I'm going to be willing to bet that they're going to be pretty fun. But beyond just discussing this kind of new emulation issue that people are having with the Mario 3D All-Stars collection, I also wanted to just discuss why this game seems to be so controversial, and why people seem to be so hell-bent on being upset about it and mad about this game and really upset with what Nintendo is doing. And now, for any newcomers to the channel who might stumble across me and Rule of 2 Review through this video, let me let you know that I am not the kind of person to just give Nintendo or any company just a free pass. I mean, throughout all of 2020, I've been holding Nintendo accountable for some of their quietness, their mysteriousness, their lack of communication. I'm not really afraid to call out somebody when they deserve it. I just feel that this is really not necessarily a situation where that makes sense to do so. Again, at least for me, okay? So I'm not going to tell you that you can't be upset with Nintendo over this game, or that you can't be upset at this game, because honestly, yes, you absolutely can, and I respect your right to do so. But for me, this doesn't fall under the category of something worth being upset about, because I see 3 amazing games, 3 of my favorite games of all time, being moved into HD and brought over to the Nintendo Switch. Emulated or not, I think they're going to run and play fantastically, and so it's everything I want them to be. And at $60 for the collection, it's $20 a piece for each game in HD. To me, that seems like a very worthy and justifiable price. I have no issues with each one of these games being sold for $20 a piece, and so buying them all for $60 is going to be completely fine. I do think the 6-month thing is a huge mistake and a major boneheaded move by Nintendo. That is the one thing that I agree with a lot of you guys on, that I think is a bad choice. It's a bad business decision. Nintendo, I think you got your heads up your butts when it comes to the 6-month thing. But everything else, I personally just don't care. But why is this game so controversial? Why has there been so many issues people are taking with this game since it was revealed just a couple of weeks ago? And I've got a few theories. I have one main theory and then a couple of other smaller ones. I mean, on the smaller side of things, I think it has to do with the fact that, Mario is a beloved franchise. It's one of Nintendo's, if not Nintendo's, biggest and most important IPs. All of us who are gamers, longtime gamers, and longtime Nintendo fans, We love Mario. We have high expectations and high standards for Mario, and we have high standards for Nintendo. And so when people see Nintendo doing these things that they perceive as cutting corners, I think that a lot of folks are going to take it a little bit more personally and see it as a little bit more of a slight against them that Nintendo chose only to make these games in HD and to only emulate them as opposed to straight port them. I think that people really feel like it's a bigger issue solely because it's Nintendo and solely because it's Mario. And, you know, while I don't really share that perspective, I do understand it. I can understand where a lot of you guys might be coming from if that's how you feel. And I mean, hey, I love Mario as much as the next person. I mean, I have a vivid memory in 1985. I would have been 4 or 5 years old when my older brother brought home an NES for the first time and played Super Mario Brothers. I literally vividly remember in the mid-80s, you guys, like 35 years ago, watching Super Mario Brothers show up on our TV for the first time ever, okay? So I'm all about Mario. I'm all about Nintendo. I'm an old boomer man who's been playing Nintendo for over 3 decades, okay? So I understand why people have these issues with what Nintendo's doing from that perspective, even though I don't personally share it. The thing that I feel is probably the biggest reason people are so upset about this game, honestly, is the leak. I think that the early on leaks for this game, early in the year, whenever that was, February or March time, right as the pandemic was starting to hit and change everything, I feel like that leak kind of did some damage to this game. Because that leak had everybody, myself included, thinking and hoping and wishing for and waiting for this collection to be announced all year. To the point where almost none of us thought that the leak was fake. I mean, normally with rumors, a lot of people are really willing to say there's a good chance this isn't true. And even though I constantly said to you guys there's a good chance this isn't true throughout this year, I also constantly told you that I tended to believe it. There were reasons both publicly and behind the scenes to think that this thing was going to be real. So it seemed like for the first time in a long time, most people took this rumor earlier this year at face value, and we all pretty much believe it. I mean, tell me I'm wrong. I think most of us dove headfirst into that rumor and said, yeah, we expect these games to come this year. It makes sense. And so I think that early on rumor did some damage for 2 reasons. The first, and something that we can't forget, is that according to that rumor, this game was supposed to be revealed to us in June at E3, okay? Several months ago, and also not too long after that rumor got out. I mean, if we go back, and again, I think it was March that rumor got out. So in March, the rumor happened, and only 3 months later, the game was supposed to be revealed at E3, when we all would have been our most excited and most hyped, and there would have been all these great positive feelings in the world. You know, this pandemic sucks, but here comes E3 to make us all feel better. Nintendo gives us this great Mario-themed event. We're all excited. And then they drop the bomb of this great 3D All-Stars collection. And I think that short window of time and the E3 period for them to have revealed this game could have very much helped by kind of quelling some expectations, and it would have been, oh, just a great E3 announcement, hooray. The other thing is, because E3 didn't happen, and because Nintendo and many other companies have had to shift their year around because of the pandemic, we ended up going a long time this year before actually getting these games confirmed. It basically was 6 months, almost half the year, before, you know, from the time that the leak got out there to the time that they were confirmed. That is a long time for people to believe this rumor, and a long time for people to project their own images and imagination and expectations for what this thing is going to be. And so the rumor about this game went from just an HD collection of some classic Mario games to a collection of like 5, 6, 7 games for some people, to a collection of complete remasters, to brand new content, extra chapters, all new visuals, new character models, and just, you know, some people started to envision a collection of Mario games that was bigger and grander than what the product was always meant to be. And with more time for people to do so, the effects of that kind of started to snowball. And it basically, I think people's imaginations had enough time to get bigger and bigger and bigger, to the point where Nintendo's release of this game was never going to meet people's expectations. Now, what I don't want this to come off as an indictment to the leak itself. I mean, leaks and rumors get out there. I personally don't have as many issues with it now as I did even a couple of years ago, To me, it's like, it's just part of the industry, and honestly, a leak is almost just as exciting as the announcement of a game anymore, because it's like, we still get excited when a cool leak is out there, and then if the game becomes real, it didn't take away from the excitement when the leak happened, you know? Like, so, I mean, I still would prefer for there to not be leaks, but I'm not at the point where I hate them to such a degree anymore. So, you know, I'm pretty sure it was Jeff Grubb from VentureBeat who first broke this back when he also talked about Mario 3D All-Stars and Pikmin 3, all of which turned out to be true. And I have nothing against the leak. I have nothing against Jeff Grubb. You know, he's become very close with, you know, some of my other YouTube friends I've gotten to know, all the Spawncast crew. I'm familiar and close with a couple of those people, and they're all really great. And Jeff seems like a great guy. He clearly knows his stuff. He has good inside information. And, like, if a leak gets out there and somebody in the media breaks it, they're kind of almost just doing their job. I mean, there are times where people in the media go too far. I agree. I don't really think the Mario leak is a situation where somebody went too far personally. And so I really just have to look at it as just a matter-of-fact situation, and I think that things just happened to happen the way they did. There happened to be a leak. Somebody happened to report this rumor, and because E3 got canceled this year, it ended up taking that much longer for this game to be confirmed, and so it basically lost its opportunity to live up to people's expectations. So at the end of the day, I don't really know that I have much of a thesis statement that I'm trying to make with this, you know, much of a goal with this video, beyond to just talk about it out loud to you guys, to put some ideas and thoughts out there for you to hear, and to give me an outlet to sort of talk about this, right? That's half of what Rule of Two Review is for me. It's just an outlet for me to talk about gaming stuff because I find it interesting and I love this hobby so much. And so I don't really know where else to go from here, you know, except for to say I'm still excited. You know, I get the controversies, I get the problems, I get the graphic issues, the emulation problems, all that stuff. You know, some people don't like the price. I get it, you know, and you have the right to feel that way. Like I said, the only thing I'm personally also upset about is the 6-month thing. But I already have my copy pre-ordered, so I'm going to have my physical edition the day the game releases. So it's not going to affect me. I'm not going to struggle to get this game. So it is what it is, and now you've heard me discuss some of my theories, my ideas, my concept about the early on leak maybe doing damage to this game because of how long ago that happened. And I want to hear what you guys think. You know, what do you think about my breakdown and my perspective and opinions here? And what are your own? What do you think about the controversies surrounding Mario 3D All-Stars? Do you agree with them, or do you not, and you're just excited for the game like I am? Whatever you think, talk about it below, and with that, this video is a wrap. Thanks, of course, as always, for tuning in, guys. This is Rob of Rule of Two Review, and I'll catch you next time on another video.